Okay, so I've got a Speed Queen dryer. It is actually, it's an Alliance, might also be known, there's the model number AES 68AWF. And I'm going to replace the pulleys and the belts. It was making a crazy squealing noise, and then it started to sound like we were washing tennis balls or drying tennis balls. So, contrary to what I saw on YouTube, they said to put a putty knife here and here and pop it up. Well, that was not the way this one works. So, and I have this bottom off. So this was the first thing that needed to be taken off. And there's 2 screws in the bottom. Take those screws off, this comes out. The next thing is the door. 2 screws on the bottom, one there, take those out, and it will hinge forward. Then that comes off. Then you can get to 2 screws right, 1 screw right here, and on the other side, and then you can lift the top. So it was different than the one on YouTube that claimed to be a Speed Queen. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do on the dryer is I'm going to remove the wires from the door. I took a picture of just this right here so I could remember which color wire went where. So I took a picture there, pull off the black one and pull off the red one. It looked loose, but I had taken them off already, so I'll put them back on just to demonstrate this. So now I'm pulling the door assembly off, putting it to the side here. So the next thing is whatever this holds the drum on the front. It's got the lint collector right there. So that's got a couple of wires. Again, I took a picture of this, so I'm going to pull off the white one and then the black one, and so the picture allows me to remember which one's there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off these screws and pull out the cover that I believe holds the drum on the dryer. So be right back. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to hold the camera and remove the nuts. There's one here, I'm sorry, the screws. There was one here I already removed. And then here's the other side on the bottom. Pull that one out. And then there's the 2 on the top right. Probably have to put my phone down for a second when I pull all of these out so this thing doesn't drop off. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, so I've got the 4 screws out, and I believe this is going to allow me to pull this away from the drum. And there we go. And the wires were on this little thing right here. Get the wire there. There's that little spring clip that was holding the wire, just the black wire. Move that out of the way. And so here comes off that front assembly that was holding the drum on the front. Set that aside. Pause this for a second. Okay, so everything's pretty loose right now. You know, you can see the drum kind of fell back away from here. Here's the belt, and my guess is that I'm going to be able to slide this belt off and then move this drum forward. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to set the phone down for 1 second. And again, I'm just sliding this belt backwards. It was in this groove right here, and I'm sliding it backwards, and if I had two hands, I could, 3 hands, I can probably show you the rest of it, but here we go. Okay, well there's the belt that's off. So now I'm going to guess I could pull the drum out. Let's see. Pull the drum out. Okay, I've got the drum out. Okay, so here we have what we have. So, gonna suspect that. Okay, so let me also say that, you know, the problem was that at first this thing started squeaking really bad. Okay, and then after about, you know, actually about a month or so after the squeaking, it actually got quiet for about a couple days, and then all of a sudden it started sounding like there were tennis balls in the dryer. So the other thing that started happening was we started seeing little black marks on our white clothes and bed sheets and things like that. And so I'm gonna guess that this thing was wearing so bad that there's metal shavings down there, and I'll bet that those metal shavings somehow were finding their way into the drum and then getting on our clothes and all that. Very little of the black marks got on our clothing, but again, I'm sure that is, you know, metal shavings, and so expect, or it could actually probably even be the wheel. I don't know. So what I am going to do next is I'm going to take the wheels off. Now, yeah, so there looks like there's a screw, but I think I watched another video, and again, this video, their video was somewhat similar, but to take the front apart was not the same as what I was finding on YouTube. So that's why I'm actually doing this video, because it did not work out just like the other videos I saw on YouTube. So I'm gonna pause the phone again, and I'm gonna find something I got to get the tool that can allow me to remove these little clips. I don't know, I guess they're like a little clip that holds that wheel on the shaft. And again, it looks like there's a screw there, but I'm not really sure if I'm gonna have to take the screw out or not. So be right back. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, even though this looks like the bad pulley right here, since I got this thing apart, I'm gonna replace all the pulleys, or yeah, pulleys. This one right here, this one right here. Okay, so they're across from each other. And then there's this pulley, which is the tensioner. Okay, so there's like a spring-loaded thing that puts tension on the belt. You know, so here's the other thing I wanted to point out is I wanted to make sure I was mindful of the way the belt went on the pulley, so when I could get this thing back together, that I'm gonna know how this thing is gonna go. This belt is gonna go back on there. So you can see right there, it goes around a shaft of this motor and kind of goes underneath this pulley for tension, and then it will wrap around the drum. So just wanted to make note of that. So what I'm doing now is, again, I mentioned this ring, this clip that is holding on the pulley. This is the clean one. So I got this tool. It's got these two little things on the end, and found this in my dad's bunch of tools that I got from him. So I think that this is the right tool for this. So. So there's two little tiny holes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these little pins, you know, and as you probably can tell by now, I'm I'm a novice at this kind of stuff. This is not what I do for a living, obviously. Okay, so you see what it's doing. It spreads that little clip apart. So I gotta lay the phone down again because I wanna make sure that clip doesn't go flying, so. Okay, the screw doesn't have to come off. It won't budge, but I did get my bent clip off there. So I guess it's gonna be a trip to Home Depot. So I gotta get another clip and I gotta get another tool. And here's the other thing. I don't even have these parts yet. I'm taking these things off. I'm gonna go to the appliance store and I hope they have them. Because I'm gonna get 2 pulleys, this tensioner pulley, and a new belt. So I don't know about you guys, but I rate my success on how many times I got to go to Home Depot. Typically, I got to go back and forth to Home Depot 3 times when I do anything. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get. I guess I'm headed to Home Depot. I'll see you guys in a minute. I'm back. So I ended up going to Ace, and what I did is I got 5 clips because I figured I'll bend one of these. And I also got the nylon washers. I probably could have used or reused the nylon washer on this side, but I was guessing that maybe even the nylon washer tore up on this side. So I'm going to put all new nylon washers on, and then I bought this to replace my broken snap ring pliers. This one's got like 4 heads on it, and it's kind of based on the angle you might be trying to put these on with. So got that. All right. Okay, well that spring clip came off very easily. Okay, what I did is I used, even though this thing was broken, I used this and I was able to get it off, and I could not believe how easy it came off. Now, the nylon washer, I'm glad I got a new one because this thing is worn down. So I loosened up the nut on this tension pulley and got the nut off and got the pulley off. I don't know, this another washer, another nylon washer. So I'm good. Glad I got a couple. Here's a metal washer way on the way back. And then this will like this. I'm just gonna see if I can get one of these because I think it was only $8. Those other washers, these are $7 each. I still don't have them, and they had to ship a part from one store to the other, and I also wanted to take these off so I can take them with me and make sure that the ones I get are the right ones. It would have been nice to have these before I started taking it apart, but I wasn't going to take a chance that I'd get the wrong ones, and actually they weren't there. They had to be shipped from another store. So the other thing I'm going to do while I got this all parted, I'm going to clean it up really good. There's, dryer lint everywhere. I'm going to get that out of there. Most importantly, I want to get this stuff off of there, which is this black, very fine. I don't know if it's from the washer or I think it's probably from the inside of the pulley that was worn back. But I definitely want to get that stuff up because I think that was the stuff that was getting on our clothes. Very, very little bit, but still, I'm going to make sure I clean that up. Okay, use my vacuum, and I got all the dryer lint up, and there was a lot of it, so I got it all up. And next thing up is to go to the appliance parts store and hope that they have the correct pulleys and the correct dryer belt, and we'll see. Just back from the parts store. They had all my parts. They had the 2 drum rollers. They had the tension pulley. They had a new belt, and they were all the right parts. So at the parts store, the guy said to put a little bit of this white grease. There's not sure what the name of it is, but this white Sil Glide on the shafts. But to be very careful on the tension pulley that you don't get any on the pulley, because then the belt will slip. He also told me to get some fine sandpaper or steel wool and kind of rub off the shafts that the pulleys go on. So I'm going to do that and see what's next. Going to go ahead and put the first drum wheel on. Got that little metal washer. Made sure that that's on there first. This goes on next, and I did wipe it down with steel wool. And here I'm going to put just a tiny dab of this grease. I think he called it white lithium grease. Just a dab on there. And then I'm going to put the wheel on. And the wheel does, on one side, say front, and so that is on the front or on the outside. And again, you want to be really careful that you don't get any of that grease even on these wheels. I think it'll slip. So I got that. Next up, I'm going to put one of these new nylon washers on. And then the next thing is one of these little spring clips. So again, I have got to lay down the phone because I want to make sure I don't let this thing fly. Now again, what I'm going to do is use these new pliers or snap ring pliers that I just bought. Put these in the two little holes, spread it apart, and hopefully it'll go on there without bending. And I'm going to... Okay, so here's the tool with the new spring clip on it. And you can see that the two little tips of that tool go through those two little holes on that spring clip. Now, I don't know if I can actually hold the camera and do this, but here we go. And we did. Nice. Make sure it's on there all the way. Okay. Got one on. Now we're going to do the other side. And again, we have the metal washer first. Going to put a tiny dab of this grease, this white lithium grease or whatever. Maybe it's not lithium, but it's this white grease. Just a tiny little dab of that. And again, you want to be very careful that you don't get any of this on the wheel. Probably should be wiping off my hands or my finger. Okay, again, this one has got the front on it, and the front goes out. Okay, got that on there. Now we need to put one of these new nylon washers on there. So we got the new nylon washer on there. And I'm going to get the spring clip on the end of those pliers. Okay, I have both of the drum rollers on. Next thing is to put this tension pulley on this spring-loaded tension bar right here. So again, I put a little dab of lithium lithium grease on there. Fed the screw through there. Again, there was a metal washer between the screw head and the wheel. Put it in through there, and the nut. This is gonna maybe take 2 hands. Screwing the nut on. Again, you want to be very careful. If you do not get any lithium, any kind of grease on that wheel, especially that one with the belt. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten that down, and then we're gonna next thing run the belt through there. Okay, so there's the new belt. There's the model number on the outside. You can tell the inside because it's got the ribs, and the ribs go inside. So then there's the motor shaft, and I did videotape it before, or take a picture of it. Both sides of the pulley are going to go underneath that wheel. So I'm going to set down the camera for a second. Okay, so there it is on the shaft. There it is on the wheel. And again, both sides go underneath the wheel. Now, time to put the drum on. Okay, so here's the drum, and I'm kind of sliding it back into place. Here's the pulley, or the belt. And again, that belt needs to slide on top of these ridges right here. So I don't know if you can see that. But those ridges is where this belt needs to slide onto. Again, down here you see that it is under that wheel, both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and set that in place. Okay, so I have the belt on those grooves. And if I look underneath here, it is going through the tensioner, both sides. And it looks to still be on the shaft of the motor. So I do have the belt in place. It's around the tensioner pulley. Sits in that little groove. Now what I need to do while holding this is grab that thing, because I think that holds the other side. Let's see how this works. Okay, so I was unable to video or show you the full video of this, but I put this piece on front. There's the felt that goes up against, this is felt right here, and that felt goes against the inside of the drum. There's also felt in the back, and so there's these 4 screws. I just got this one started, and then I'm gonna have to put one here, 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 and don't let those wires fall back in there. And again, you had to line it up with that motor down there. That's this lint catcher thing. So I get that those 4 screws in there. Another thing that's important when you're putting the front of the drum holder on, there's this little tab right there, and that tab needs to go into that slot. So I started tightening all 4 of my screws until I figured out that thing needed to slide down inside that slot. So I figured I'd mention that. Okay, I got my 4 screws started, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish tying or screwing those down right there. Again, that clip right there needs to go in that slot. Same thing here on the bottom. Here's the one up on top. Now, throughout this whole thing, I've been making sure that that belt hasn't slipped off of that tensioner pulley. So, now you can't probably see it really good, but it is still on the tensioner pulley. The drum is up against those felt, those little felt buffers right here and in the back. If I grab one of these things inside, okay, these things that kind of tumble to close, and I roll it, it rolls. Seems to be rolling okay. Probably not as smooth as I would like it to, but maybe that's just because the belt's got to be tight on there. Okay, so next up is the cover on the front of the thing that holds the drum in with the lint catcher. I'm going to vacuum all that out one more time. Almost made a big mistake, and that is, and again, I think I said that I thought the drum should be turning a little bit more freely than it did, even with it turned off. Well, I don't know if you can see that. That's supposed to go under the drum. There's one on both sides. This one's on this side's under the drum, and this one's not. So I'm very glad I caught this, and I need to figure that out, fix that. Okay, I was able to loosen, I had to loosen the 4 screws again, and then I sure enough was able to get those tabs under the drum, and now it, well, without being turned on, it's turning like I would have expected. So that was a lucky catch. And the one other thing, seems like this dryer vent could be a little more snug up against here, and I'm not finding another screw that I maybe forgot about, so I'm thinking that the bottom tray will put pressure on that and hold it in. Thing I'm going to do is put the these wires back on this. This is actually the light for the dryer, which has been burned out for a while, but didn't even really realize it had a light, so maybe I'll go and see if I can find a light bulb for it. So the black one, remember I took a picture of this, so that helped me to remember which one went on the top, what one goes on the top, and the black one goes on the bottom. And then over here we have these wires that were held in by this clip right here. So we're going to put this clip back around them, and then that clips in that little hole right there. That little hole right there. So that clip holds those wires. Put that clip in there, and now you've got that holding them. Okay, so I have the front of that on. We just put the wires for the light. These wires right here, they go to the door. So the door assembly right here has got those wires. So we'll plug those in when we get the door on. So the next thing is to drop this hood down. And again, contrary to what I found on YouTube, the hood was the last thing that went down. That's not the case on this Speed Queen. So the first thing that goes down is the hood. I kind of have it with a hanger up here while I work on it. So you drop that down. And there are screws right here and right here. So what I saw on YouTube was the first thing he did was got a putty knife and popped that off and popped that off. Well, you know, I tried it, didn't work, so it's definitely different. Okay, I'm putting those screws in that hold that top lid down. And I already did this side. So I got those down tight. So now the next thing to do is to put the, and I don't know if it matters if you put the bottom panel on first or the door. I'm I'm going to go with the door first. Okay, so I have the door ready to go on, and first thing is these wires need to go to the door. Now, I took a picture of it so I would remember, and so the gray one goes on first. The black one is in the middle. And the red one's on the outside. I have those three on. The next thing is that these clips right there are like hangers. So I'm going to hang them, and there's slots up there. And then there's going to be screws that go on the bottom. Okay, so these hangers right there go in their hole. Shut it, close it down. Now it's hanging there. Now we're going to put the two screws here in the bottom. And then the last thing to do is to put this bottom plate back on, where it will open to holes on the door. And then you will put the screw in that bottom and in that bottom, and then it's back together. Next up, we're going to plug it in. Grab this big old cord. We're going to plug this back in. There we go. Now for the moment of truth. And it works.